Get started with item number 1, ordinance 25-543, budget amendment, second reading.
So this is just a reminder, we will have a second reading on the ordinance for the budget amendment. Of course, no action tonight. I just want to put it on there as a discussion point and reminder that will be coming before the board next week at our meeting.
Anybody have any discussion about the budget amendment? Nope. Moving on. Move on to update on FY 2024-25 audit.
So our auditors came in September and October and did some field work and compiled all their reports, and everything's been completed. It's being reviewed and processed. We're going to have the auditor come to our meeting next week and present the audit. But so far everything's looking really good for it, and we'll have more final information for you next week. And Mr. Ellis will be here to present the audit at the beginning of the meeting.
And this will put us in compliance.
We will be in compliance for the on-time audit.
Questions about that? All right, we'll move on then to item number 3, bid for auditing services FY 25 through FY 29-30.
So along the same lines, we went out to bid for audit services for the next 5 years. We've used the same audit firm for probably 15-20 years, and it's a good idea to switch that up every once in a while to get a fresh set of eyes. We have had 3 people respond, and our review committee is looking over those responses, but we'll have a recommendation for you at the meeting next week as to who we think we should hire for the next 5 years to do the audit.
Questions about that? Going once, going twice. Moving on then, resolution 25-655, financial literacy initiative.
So Jim and I attended a meeting in Rogersville a few weeks ago with the Department of the Treasury talking about the financial literacy initiative. Hawkins County scorecard was less than the target amount for financial literacy, so they want towns and cities to participate in trying to put out the word about teaching children, especially, and adults, some basics of money management and financial wellness. So what we're going to do is partner with our bank and Mount Carmel Elementary School to go into the school and teach a program to the children about saving and learning the basics of money management. And this resolution will show that we're supporting that. It's more of a formality.
Questions about that? Moving on then to item number 5, update on Business and Economic Development Committee.
This was an item brought to me by Alderman Benstock, looking for an update on the committee we established earlier in the year, and I'll let him speak to what questions he may have.
We haven't had a meeting yet with the businesses in Mount Carmel, so I'd like to, how should I say, resurrect this and get it moving forward. And I just need to know what needs to be done to do that.
So this wasn't the committee for this, because we've got 2 different things. That you're wanting to have a businesses with current, like a meeting with current businesses.
Yeah.
Okay, so this was something that was created to form as like an advisory board for future development and growth, not out of like local businesses. It was more trying to get like the chamber, some different organizations like that. I've talked to the chamber director and about getting some different people on board with this, more for an advisory role for us of actions that we can take to recruit business and development. And when I did, she told me, yes, but I don't want to do a meeting that we're just doing like, your typical SWOT analysis, this, that, and the other. She's like, you need to have all that done, and then we'll review this at the meeting. And so that's been one of the things where that aspect of it. What are you wanting to see in regards of meeting with current businesses? Like what's your purpose of the meeting to try to get people, all the local? I mean, I don't think it's a bad idea. I just want to know what's your forum, what's your how are you want to do that?
Well, I was thinking of something where we bring in the upper management of various businesses and find out what their needs are, use and eventually build a system where we would have meetings and they would address different things. For example, they might address, depending on how often we do this, hiring and personnel. Another one might be well, personnel, things to improve their, to reduce their expenses, and basically have them form their own committee that we would host and share. It would be like the SCORE, the Senior Corps of Retired Executives, which is free to the participants, and they come in and they talk about insurance, what's available, what's good, what's not, incorporating what's good, what's not, and so on. So helping the businesses look at different opportunities. And we could do it quarterly, for 2 hours, I'm thinking, something like that.
I mean, I think that's something that would need a lot of like recruitment of seeing if you could get businesses to show up. That might be a challenge. I also would want to check and make sure it's not redundant with what First Tennessee, no, Tyler, what's beside the Armory, Allen?
Industrial Development Board?
Not the Industrial Development Board, the one that's in Allendale. First Tennessee.
First Tennessee Development District?
No,
Yeah.
I know what you're talking about.
I just went to their luncheon. What is that? Let me find it. Because they have a business incubator.
Holston Business
Development,
Executive
HBDC.
Development.
Yes. Because that's more, they offer more and have more resources that are from Kingsport County, I think all different places contribute into, where they actually will do like help you with your business setup structure. They have conference room, meetings room.
That's the incubator.
Yes, the incubator
Yes.
building. That might be something more that we need to work with what they already have existing, because I think what you're looking at setting up of offering different people to come in, we wouldn't be able to spend money to recruit outside people to do it for any cost. The money that we spent with that would have to be, only thing for economic and development could be spent for actual, like, that would be restrictive on what we could spend that money on. You couldn't bring like a speaker in or somebody to present, or can you speak to that, Tyler or Jim?
The business nature of Mount Carmel doesn't lend itself to what you all are talking about, because we don't have a plethora of businesses. Most of them are very small in nature, and they're struggling to continue to do business. They're not going to come, and that's what the chamber does, is exactly what you just talked about, is brings them all together and talks about different opportunities. The same with the business incubator. They have the ability to kind of help grow a business to a larger level. As far as the town goes, we can't get involved in that, and the reason is it's going to reek of a favoritism situation between one business over another. If we spend money, and let's say this business reaps a benefit and the others do not, there's going to be repercussion for the town that we did not give fair and equitable treatment and distribution. So if it's an insurance company or a law office or a bank or a restaurant, or so that's the challenge of the small business that exists here.
But
Sorry.
I was going to just ask if I was going to make the offer and say, if you wanted to go up to the Holston group one day, I'd be glad to set up a meeting and go up there with you and talk to Liz Bennett, who's over it, and let her explain all the different services they offer up there, because it is something that this board passed probably 4 years ago. We were passed that resolution to work with them, partner with them. We have a good relationship there, and that might be something more just going up there and set up a meeting would be beneficial to learn about what they offer.
So why don't we do that?
Okay, I'll reach out to set that up with her post the holidays.
Yeah.
And if everybody wants to come, we'll try to make it a time when people could come if you want to learn more about it. But it'd be something worth, because I think that would answer a lot of your questions of services that we already have, that we can't even, they would be able to offer way more than we ever could. And it's more just needed to get people on board of working with them in the organization from town.
Yeah, I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean, that we'd be glad to do. And if we could, I'd like to add one other thing to the agenda quick here. And this is more for a question for the attorney. County recently passed a policy where if somebody wasn't able to attend a meeting, we were able to do it virtually. That's a TCA code now, correct?
Yes.
Is that something that we can look at adopting a similar policy in this book? Because we're totally set up to do it now with the iPads and all of that.
I believe so. I've got to check the language. I don't see why not. It was designed to fit this type of body. So I can easily find out.
If we could find that out and look into that in the future, just something, some language that we can get passed if we need to, just for situations, like Alton Cross or Mindy or whatever that might look like in the future, just since it's now available through TCA code.
I'll make sure I get something back in time for the next meeting.
All right.
Staff would like to add two things.
Sure.
Two things. The first is we were asked to explore the cost to reconfigure the room, and that estimate has come in at $10,400.
What was it?
$10,400
For what?
to reconfigure the room with the wiring and electronics.
This? That's fine. If we can afford to spend $40,000 on a pile of junk pile, or we can daggone sure do this room again.
Well, it's not a voting situation now, but I would like to know what the board's general idea is or thought.
If we're going to do that much money, let's put that up for a vote.
Well, we voted on that once to do that.
Mm.
And everybody voted for it. I thought everybody did.
To do what?
To redo this room.
No.
They did not. They were silent. There was one voice that said they wanted it, then there was a second. So it was a discussion point. There was no vote on it. It was a general consensus that we would explore the cost to see what that looked like. That's what we're getting back with now, is the cost to reconfigure based on the electronics and everything else. So it's going to require movement.
What style would you do it in the second time to move it?
Well, apparently we're going to have to get with y'all and figure out if you want something different,
Yeah.
where a consensus is met, because,
That's
one voice is speaking and now there's two voices. I just need to know what the majority of the board wants. If you want it reconfigured, we can do that. If you don't, then we leave it what it is and we continue to move on.
And that price is strictly for what we have furniture wise. That's just basically moving that table here and this table over there. If you take
we can wait till the end of the year or the first of the year. We can talk about it when everybody's here.
Let's table it to the budget.
Okay.
Okay. The other discussion point was, a message was shared with me from next door, misstating, misquoting several things from the recent 911 meeting, and just going on a tirade about everything that's wrong with the town. I want to be very open about this, and I'll use the term, not every barking dog deserves your attention. However, when people spread false information or misinformation, I think it's imperative that we respond to that. Therefore, each one of you have a draft of a response that I put together that we can put on our town website under frequently asked questions or those types of things. And if you don't care to take a look at the draft that I put together, though, and I believe I spoke to every one of the difficult misinformation or misunderstandings that existed. I used my recall from the meeting. I actually asked the fire chief to take a look at it. Vice Mayor Bear was at that same meeting, so if there's anything in there that's not accurate, please feel free to give me correction or give me edit, that will work. Nobody on this board has asked to raise taxes, not once. And it's frustrating to me when members of the community try to manipulate information to make it convenient for where they want to go with an agenda. And that's very frustrating from my perspective, and I'm sure it's just as frustrating for you all. So I'm not going to get into a back and forth with every single person that posts something negative about the town of Mount Carmel. But if there's factual flaw in their information, I want to make sure that we put the right information out. So if that's not the direction y'all want to go, let me know, but I think that's the best route that we can go. And it's going to stir up people that are, well, that's not true. Well, yes, actually it is, and I actually have all the receipts to explain it and show the truth. So I'm comfortable with that conversation. And I hope you all know by now I don't go off half-cocked on anything. I do my research and I do my homework. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
Yeah, appreciate the response you wrote.
Okay.
I probably would not have been as patient and professional as you are in this document.
People deserve patience and respect, even if we disagree. If that's what I ask of all of you and that's what I ask of the public, I think that I've got to demonstrate that at every turn. So.
Yeah, and it's going to be one of those things that I do think that come first of the year, we're going to be, not that we're going to have to would want to respond to, but I think we will have to see opportunities to be able to try to educate about the tax reassessment. You know, because I read recently online that the comptroller said next year is going to be a rough budget across the state because of a lot of the reassessments, and people are going to see that sticker reassessment, and we might get directed a lot of questions about that. So, you know, that's going to be something that we've got resources available from the property assessor that we can make it put up on the website to kind of direct it not our way, that it's you know, it's going to be something handled through the county resources, and that's where different reassessments and disputes and all those things will go through. And the city has absolutely nothing to do with this, and the tax rate will be reset to reflect. So all, you know, things like that I think will be important to get out there with good factual information on the front end.
So my goal is to actually create frequently asked questions and hot button topics, if you will, but it will proactively communicate those things, no different than when we go through the future of the sewer rate. Because when we do that rate study, there's going to be information that's going to be provided, and the comptroller's watching that closely. As you all know, we were told to do that and imposed upon by the comptroller. So we can choose to ignore, but we'll be in the same place that I spoke of earlier, where they come in and tell you, you no longer get to decide. So we want to make sure we're not in that place.
And to me, that's the most irresponsible thing that we could, as a governing body, could do.
Correct.
Because if you allow the state to come in and take over and set rates, then you basically have no local representation of your money being spent.
Correct.
But also, I think another good thing to include with that is explaining the difference between general fund dollars and a utility dollar. Because that's a very common misconception that anything that we do in this town is we should have spent that money at the sewer department. That's a very common misconception of that it's just so simple of moving money from general fund to the sewer department, where we could, you know, in theory, easily correct some problems, but that's not how, being a utility, that's not how it works. You know, I think trying to get some basic breakdown of information in that hot button thing would be another good inclusion there.
So if you don't care to share, and this goes for all of you, if you don't care to share pain points of questions you get from folks that are routine and common, we can speak to those things in advance and provide factual information that isn't emotional or driven by the context of the moment, but it's what it is,
right?
The truth and the purpose, and we can also put reference and all of those things. most people don't understand how to read their tax bill. They think they're paying everything to the town of Mount Carmel, and that's one of the things I put in this notice is, you know, I didn't put that really our town residents should be asking the county what they get for their $2.55 per $100 tax rate, but that's really a question to be answered. And it's frustrating to me because we keep playing this round the horn game, no different with the 911 conversation or the EMS conversation. The answer is essential services must be funded. It's no different than what I would say to you all when we're making decisions about should we do this or should we do that. Essential services always come first, and public safety is at the top of those essential services. Now, Tennessee defines EMS as a essential service, but Hawkins County may not necessarily be treating it that way. The same with the 911 side. Now, the 911 funds are designed to fund 911 answering points. It can be used to fund dispatching, but it's not a primary function of that funding source. That's why the county and their quasi-governmental agency, the ECD, is now wanting to solicit the towns to support that. You've heard my take on this, is that should be funded through the county operation. They made the choice to make an ECD that is dispatching as well in a single point of contact. I think it's effective and efficient, but I don't think our town residents should have to pay county taxes for a service that's provided by the county and by us. So that's my, in a nutshell, explanation for all of that.
Any other questions? Motion to adjourn.
Second.
I'm gonna ask